As paragliding equipment got better and people started to fly farther and higher, it was clear that there's going to be some kind of a competition about. In our human nature, we just want to know who is the best. But you cannot really line up 100 of paragliders and make them run around a circuit like a race car. Or can you? Let's see about that. Okay, so there are no paragliding racing circuits, but we actually don't need them. Let's just imagine several points in a region, like landmarks, summits, cities. We can choose several of them, set up an order, and voila, that's already a paragliding track. Every day it's different and every day it's virtual. We navigate through it using GPS, so we don't really need any signs or bands or even spectators. One problem is that you cannot really specify a point in space and make people fly through it, especially many people at the same time. That's why we use cylinders. Cylinder can be anything from like 200 meters to many kilometers wide. With cylinders, there's much bigger margin, and therefore it's easier to navigate, but as well, many people can pass through it at the same time, which is very important especially at the beginning of the race. Okay, but how does it even start? You can't really make 100 of wings wait for the beginning of the race in the air. And you can't really make them all take off at the same time from the ground. That would be extremely dangerous and logistically impossible. The solution to this problem is actually quite simple. All the pilots take off a bit earlier and spend their time fighting for the best position to arrive in the first cylinder exactly when the race starts. After crossing the first cylinder, pilots immediately turn towards the next one. Once you pass all the points, in particular order, you run for the finish, and obviously you want to be the first one there. A typical task usually takes 2 to 3 hours and cover around 60 to 120 kilometers. The differences are down to seconds between the best pilots. There are many additional rules and restrictions, but it doesn't really matter for now. You get the idea. Cross-country races are definitely the most popular ones and the most prestigious ones. But they are still a bit artificial and don't exactly represent the way we fly on a daily basis. One of the big constraints of cross-country competitions is that whenever you land, the day is over for you. And that's not exactly true in normal life. You can just walk to the nearest hill and take off again and fly and then land and take off again. And that's exactly what Hike and Fly is about. You decide where and when to take off and how to get there. The only restriction on Hike and Fly races is that you can only use your feet and your wing. That means that it's not only about flying skills, but also about strength and endurance, and also about tactics. Planning is actually super important because if everyone else is flying and you're still on the ground, you're losing a lot of time. At the same time, if you take off too early and land prematurely, you're going to lose time as well. Hike and Fly races are more recent and therefore far less regulated. Organizers sometimes get super creative and therefore they're very diverse and also super fun. I'll be definitely covering Hike and Fly races in more details in the future, so if you're interested, make sure to subscribe. In fact, both cross-country and Hike and Fly are all about efficiency and speed. Now, the third type of competition is all about style. In acro and acrobatics, pilots show mastery of control of their wings. They perform in front of judges showing sequences of tricks. It's all about precision, timing, and technique. Pilots are ranked depending on the technical difficulty, the execution, landing, and choreography. Additionally, they can perform in pairs, and that's when synchronization becomes an important criteria. Since those flights can be quite dangerous, they're usually happening above the water, and they end up with a spectacular landing on the raft. In fact, acro is not very popular, but it's absolutely amazing to watch, and therefore it accounts to tons of paragliding content on YouTube, and you have surely seen it before. Finally, there's precision landing competitions. The name stands for itself. Pilots take off from a nearby hill or winch and try to land as close as possible to a central point that is marked on the ground. The one that gets the closest to the central point in multiple tries wins. The rules are simple, but the task is not. It requires great control of the wing, and being consistent in numerous tries actually takes a lot of experience. The funny part about this type of competition is that the pilots actually use equipment meant for beginners because they're much easier to control at low speeds, And as well, high-performance wings are actually much harder to land precisely in one spot. So we have covered 4 types of paragliding competitions. But in fact, also 4 main disciplines of paragliding: cross-country, hike and fly, acrobatics, and precision landing. Of course, this applies only to free flying. There's also a lot of disciplines and races related to powered paragliding, flying with engines. And since those usually happen close to the ground, they're absolutely spectacular to watch, and you should check it as well. But here, I'm definitely not an expert and cannot advise. Anyway, that's it for today. If you're interested, make sure to subscribe because I'll be definitely covering some of these topics in more detail soon. Ciao!